Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Aarna Sahu, host of Aarna's News, where on this podcast channel, I aim to eliminate the gender gap in the STEM fields by featuring inspiring female professionals and highlighting their stories and accomplishments to further encourage girls. Today, on episode 88.
Exactly. They call it as EQ, emotional quotient, and IQ is your intelligent quotient. So IQ can get you so far. That's your fundamental. You need to be having an IQ to get a job to begin with, but then EQ is what keeps you there on the job. IQ helps you get the job, but EQ keeps you on the job. So if you don't have the deadly combination that most people bring success is IQ plus EQ plus luck. Luck would have it. Luck to me is have to be in the right place at the right time. So if you have the IQ plus EQ and you're at the right place at the right time, success is a sure shot recipe. But if you don't have any one of those, then there is a question. It's a question mark. But yeah, IQ is fundamental, but EQ and right place, right time is also very important.
Today, on episode 88, I'm pleased to announce our guest, Sushma Srikanth. Sushma Srikanth, an accomplished engineering leader, has navigated roles in startups and large corporations like Cisco and Google. Currently serving as a director of engineering at Google Workspace, she excels in steering teams through all stages of product development, including cloud infrastructure, software as a service software, and applications. With a proven history of assembling and guiding global teams and crafting innovative product roadmaps, she stands out for her bold and transformative leadership approach. Beyond her professional endeavors, Sushma actively engages in community service, notably serving on the board of Gina.org, a nonprofit dedicated to supporting families with special needs children. So thank you so much, Sushma, for being here today. Before we dive into the questions, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me, Arna, for your podcast. And very thrilled to be here and very excited. I do appreciate you thinking about me and your dad to think of me. So, in terms of introduction, you already talked about me, so there's not much that I would add. Just that I would clarify that I was on the GINA board, not anymore. I was there for a few years, and then in the last couple of years since the COVID time, I have not been on it. But yeah, yes, I'm really still passionate, and I do still do volunteer work for and do including fund donations and education for special needs children.
I love that. So, my first question for you is tell us a bit about your career path.
Okay, that's a wonderful question. So I started way back, almost 25 plus years ago. I started as a firmware engineer in a startup back in India. That's where I grew up and did my undergrad. I then when I came to US, I quit my job to pursue master's in computer engineering from San Jose State University. While I was completing almost my master's, I had the privilege of getting multiple job offers on hand, and I decided to join Cisco at that time. This was back in 2000, which was a networking leader in the world at that point of time. And it was very prestigious to join that company, and I was very thrilled. I joined as an embedded system software engineer. I grew up there from an entry-level engineer all the way up to the senior director level. While at Cisco, during that long tenure, I had the opportunity to work on various cutting edge technologies from data networking to security, as well as the optical networking and data center and what have you. After spending 2 decades there at Cisco, I decided it was time for me to spread my wings and explore outside, and I got the opportunity to join Google. I'm right now serving as a director of engineering for the Workspace group, and I work on Workspace platform. So that's kind of my trajectory on career path. I started working, quit the job, did masters, and then got back into workforce.
I love that. I love how you said you had to spread your wings. You had your time at Cisco, you had a bunch of different job opportunities, and then you kind of moved on to Google, and now you're there and you're thriving. So that's very, very exciting. So yeah, I love that.
Thank you.
Okay, so my question for you is, what advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a career similar to yours, and do you have any tips to succeed?
Um, So yeah, I think I can give you general tips, regardless of what career somebody would want to pursue. Doesn't have to be in the tech field. It could be even non-tech field. Um, first foremost would be to be an expert and very good, in your own area. And there is no substitute for hard work, commitment, and dedication. Uh, that's kind of the building blocks and the foundation of any career that anyone would choose. And also to make sure you're passionate about your profession, and you and and pursue ones that actually motivate yourself to do your best. And continuous development, like learning should never ever cease. Doesn't matter what age and how many years you've been in that profession. Continuous development is the key. There are three E's I always suggest. E as in education, exposure, and experience, that I always suggest folks that I've been mentoring over the years to enrich themselves and to be relevant for the current industry, because the industry progresses. Doesn't matter which field you're in, change is inevitable. You have to be able to adapt to the change. And as the industry progresses and makes changes, you have to be able to make sure you are keeping yourself abreast of the latest developments. So continuous development is one way for you to stay relevant in any industry. So, because career is a long haul, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So that's people have to be mindful of that. And also, it's very critical to have a mentor early on in your career as you're starting out, so that they can guide you what areas you can dabble and explore, and that'll help you grow. So, because when you start out in a career, one does not always know what they like. Seemingly you may be thinking that I like XYZ area, but then when you get hands-on, you may figure that it's not the path for you. So those things are to be expected, and it's normal. So having a mentor early on is really critical for you to stay focused. And as you grow up in your career, as you grow up in your ladder, having a sponsor, there's a key difference between a mentor and a sponsor. Having a sponsor that helps you grow and who can look out for you, not just be a coach and help you answer certain questions when you're in crossroads, but also be a sponsor, look out for you and speak for you when you're not in the room, and of highly of you, and help you get a job, help you get a promotion and whatnot. So having a sponsor and having the in the later stages of career is very important. And then the next and the foremost is building your own network, with other professionals in your field is very important as well. And LinkedIn and other social networks these days helps with that, makes it easier. Back in the day when I started out, that wasn't the case, but now it makes it easier. Always have a goal, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, and 5 year goals, and where you want to see yourself in the field, in any field you're in, and check how you're doing at the end of that period. What was your goal that you set out? You don't have to share those goals with anyone. And what were those goals that you set out, and did you achieve them? If you did not meet them, take action. Retrospect as to why you did not meet those goals, and then what can you do differently to help achieve those goals, and take some action. So I cannot stress enough the fact that your career is ultimately in your hands and not anybody else's hands. And you have to be that champion who drives and be the driving agent to make that change. And as you grow high in your career to the C level and all that, and even to the VP level, you need to have a personal board. What I meant by that is, not just one sponsor, but set of people that you trust, and who you inspire you to go to when you have a question, because we all are human beings. We all have doubts at some point or the other. So having that personal board and help you build your own branding is very key. So these are some of the things that I would suggest, somebody, regardless of their career, is generic. I would want people to have some of these tips to help them succeed.
Absolutely. And when you do have those 1 year goals, 2 year goals, 3 year goals, in order to get to those, you have to build on your foundations. You can't cut corners in order to get to one place or the next, because everything is changing, especially with artificial intelligence. Your one title might not mean anything because you'll have to relearn pretty much an
Exactly.
entire field in
Exactly.
order to like make it big in one other place, because artificial intelligence is a big thing now, but who knows what'll be tomorrow. So you always have to have this mindset to be okay with learning and be okay to like unglue yourself from what you had before. And of course, it's going to be hard because I myself, I struggle with this, but I have a big ego, so it's really hard to relearn things and go back to learning something that I already thought I knew. But in order to kind of be successful later on and set yourself up for success, you have to have this mindset to always be able to go back to where you started and go back to square one.
Yeah, absolutely. So technology keeps changing. If you want to be in tech field, you have to be able to deal with change. You have to. That's a must, right? So yes, you well said. You have to be able to deal with change. You have to be able to learn and keep yourself up to date and make yourself relevant and drive your destiny and career.
Absolutely. And we all think that technology is really stable. Like on media, like when I was a kid, I thought technology was such a stable career. Like, okay, I'll just work in this little cubicle and boom, I will have my 50 years set for me. But it really isn't that. Everything is changing. Layoffs are a big thing, but so is new perspective fields. Like a couple of days ago, I learned of a new career path called AI transcribers. Like a year ago, that probably didn't exist, but now it does. So it's a new different fields, and people are definitely getting into such fields and such flavors. So it's all about learning and being able to change on the spot.
Yeah, exactly. So AI is going to make some jobs redundant and not needed, and it is also going to create new jobs, like you said, right? AI transcriber. So one has to keep up with the change to stay relevant.
Absolutely. And my question for you is, what is a common myth about your profession that you want to debunk?
Like you said just now about the change is not, you set one career, you go to technology, it is stable, and you stay in a cubicle, you're set for the next 40 plus years or whatever. That's the myth. So change is constant. And and also especially in my profession, which is the software development, people think coding is only skill needed, but that's not true. And they also think that coding is for people who are young, and this is a tech industries for the young people. That's also not true. And they also have the myth that as you grow in your career, they think that as you become senior, the best developers who can write the best code can be the best managers. That's a total myth. That's not true at all. Some of the best managers that I've had in my career were not the best developers. And also, managers don't need to be tactical. Once you're a manager, you just need to attend meetings after meetings and then just be delegating stuff to other people. That is not true at all. So every job has its own role profile that people have to learn and be skillful and expert at it. But these are some of the myths I would like to debunk, that there is change is constant. That's kind of the fundamental premise of all the jobs, especially in the tech.
Absolutely. And a lot of people think that, okay, as an individual contributor, once you get promoted, you become a manager and so on, and you'll have to use the same skills. It really isn't the case. Of course, you'll have the same knowledge, but the skills that you'll have to play day to day do differ. Like, of course, as a contributor, you have to code, you have to, do backlogs, you have to do like things that are like actual technical. But if you are a manager, then you actually have to do more of like the client side, you have to do more of like the team side, which is definitely a different foreplay at the same time, but they are different skills that you have to be comfortable with working with. And of course, media has always played this to be very different because when I was a kid, I thought it would just be the same coding that I'd have to do for like the next 40 plus years. But of course, change is constant. And I think what really just gives people these promotions and these bigger, higher ups is not really the hard skills that you use, but the soft skills, because those definitely traverse like industries. Um, and as you said before, you don't have to be you don't have to be like a really, really smart coder in order to be a manager, and in order to be and it's like just vice versa. You don't have to have certain skill sets to be like at 100% in order to have one type of job.
Exactly. They call it as EQ, emotional quotient, and IQ is your intelligent quotient. So IQ can get you so far. That's your fundamental. You need to be having an IQ to get a job to begin with, but then EQ is what keeps you there on the job. IQ helps you get the job, but EQ keeps you on the job. So if you don't have the deadly combination that most people bring success is IQ plus EQ plus luck. Luck would have it. Luck to me is have to be in the right place at the right time. So if you have the IQ plus EQ and you're at the right place at the right time, success is a sure shot recipe. But if you don't have any one of those, then there is a question. It's a question mark. But yeah, IQ is fundamental, but EQ and right place, right time is also very important.
Hmm. And my question for you is, if you could step into my shoes, what would you have asked yourself that I didn't?
Okay, that's a very, very interesting question. So um, I am not sure what I would since I'm not sure I know you well enough as to what you would be the question that you would be asking, it's kind of tricky to put myself in your shoes without knowing your interest in the specifics, Arna. However, I would offer this in terms of what are your values and what would motivate you and give you joy, and what environment support your well-being. Use that and pursue that. So if you haven't already asked that question, always start with what are my values, what would motivate me and give me joy, and this particular environment would give me support for my well-being, and pursue that, because sometimes places can be toxic, so then that's not good for your well-being, or it requires demanding x number of hours that may not be possible in your real situation. So all of those things you have to ask yourself, not knowing what you've already asked. So that's what I can offer.
So true, because when I was a kid, I'm gonna go back to myself. I really thought that having a job or going into corporate life had to be really mundane and it had to be something I didn't enjoy. But after like talking to so many amazing women just like you, I realized that the life outside of school should be something enjoyable, and you shouldn't really pursue a field or you shouldn't pursue a life outside of school just because it might make you more money or it might give you a societal boost. You should just pursue something and do the things you really enjoy, regardless of what that cost might be. Of course, you might get a pay cut. Of course, people might look down on you, but who cares if you enjoy what you like doing, then um, everyone else's opinions don't really matter because it's your life that you're worth living.
Yeah. Success is a really subjective term on that note, right? I would underscore that. I cannot underscore that enough. Success is a subjective term. Success does not mean you have a title and a X number of high paying perk and a job. That's just one measure people measure, but that's not it. There are lots of different factors that would make people successful. Even you could be just doing hiking and enjoying your life and raising family, and that's also success, because that's giving you enjoyment, that's giving you fulfilling life. So that's success. So what gives you fulfillment, what gives you motivation, what makes you happy, pursue that.
Absolutely. And my question for you is, what are the best resources and books that have helped you find your career path?
Yeah, I've read many books over the period. The top five that come to my mind are the Lenin, Women Work and Will Lead by Sheryl Sandberg. Being a mom and being a woman, I think I found that book very helpful. How do you juggle with your family and then at the same time work? It's not just you cannot have both. You can have both family and career. You don't have to make choices. I think that was kind of helpful to think about, like Sheryl Sandberg and how she was able to lean in and still be in the C-suite of some of the top companies while having a family life. And that was very useful. And then there's another thing called Seven Habits for Highly Effective People. This goes back to the EQ I was talking about earlier. Just being technical doesn't help. You need to also have the emotional quotient, because it's all about collaboration and teamwork. You have to work with different people with different personalities and background. So you need to be able to open in terms of how do you influence other people. That's very key to get things done, because you're not going to do all of it. And then the third book was The Tomorrow Mind, Thriving at Work. Change is constant. I go back to that, like layoffs and technology changes all the time happens. How do you prep yourself for those changes and brace yourself for those new environments and prep yourself so that you are successful in that environment? So The Tomorrow Mind, Thriving at Work by Gabriela Rosen Kellerman was a very good book that helps you be resilient in the face of all of these changes. That's the third one. And then the fourth one is the Everyone Communicates But Few Connect. This is by John Maxwell. This is about influencing. As you go higher in your career, influencing plays a very key role in your day-to-day communication. So just saying the way you would think may not connect with other people. So you really have to think about how you say it. The chatbots that we have today, whether it is Gemini or the ChatGPT that we have today, may make it useful and helpful for some people who are not native English speakers, but then it's really important to have that. So you can actually, I would recommend people use those chatbots to help make sure as a sounding board. If you want to say something, use that and see what the definition or the suggestion it gives, so that and also that would help you form in a better way. And the lastly is the Only Paranoid Survive by Andy Grove. This is the Intel former CEO. How you can succeed by being paranoid, and constantly. Basically, it helps you with being committed and dedicated and passionate about what you do. So I think these are the 5 books. The last one is Play Bigger by Dave Peterson. This is one of the recent books that I read, but this is more not for big people who are working in big companies, more for startups who have ideas and who want to create category king, and how they want to play big win big in their own space, and how they create category. And they have lots of use cases that the Dave talks about in that book. And I love that. The Play Bigger. How do you build a business? Like if you want to think about startup and taking it to public.
I love those. I'm definitely going to check them out, especially the last one,
Mm,
because I've always been interested in the startup world. So I will definitely take those to heart.
mm,
Thank you for the resources.
mm. You're welcome.
Okay, and what do you think is a vital factor that shaped your career? What was your life before learning it, and what was your life after learning it?
Yeah, excuse me. I'm actually some of the factors that shape my career. I think I would give credit to my husband, who has been an incredibly great support, and unwavering support in through the thick and thin of our lives. And he's been a champion for female empowerment. And of course, my parents, who taught me that the value of education and financial independence early on. So I think those are the key players early on in my life who've played a key role in influencing and shaping me who I am. Besides that, there are lots of mentors over the years who helped me in my career, to help me overcome my imposter syndrome. And because if you're the only woman in the room, you obviously become a little more conscious about yourself, and you start doubting yourself about if you are right or not. And so these people help me be more confident. Some notable ones are Tibor Fabry Astalas, I hope he's listening, and Jassim Masood. Both were my former bosses at Cisco, and they played a key role in shaping my career when I was at crossroads due to personal reasons. So I kind of owe it to them. So both of them, and as well as my family, my parents, and my husband, are my true supporters. So before this, I was, like I said, I was not confident, imposter syndrome. But having exposed to such wonderful men in my life, I think I've been more confident. I don't doubt as much, and I'm still surviving.
I love that. And there's a saying that you are who you surround yourself with.
Mhm.
And it's definitely true. If you surround yourself with amazing people and inspiring people, then of course you're going to be on track like that. But if you surround yourself with people who don't really like themselves and aren't doing too well, then you're going on that track. But it's definitely true because as we all start out in some place or another, we're easily misguided or we easily fall into other people's paths. Like it's just like a human instinct. But I think that's really, really true, and I love that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And because we have some additional time, my question for you is, what's one thing you wish you had known when you began your career path?
Oh, that's such a wonderful question. I wish I could rewind the time clock back 25 years ago. Looking back, I think I wish I had approached my career with more ambition early on, rather than focusing on solely on financial independence and treating it just like a job. I was more focused on kids and family. While raising my kids was incredibly fulfilling, I now see the possibility of balancing both family and career. I wish I had known that back then, how I could do that by leaning in, and using help and outsourcing as needed. It does take planning, delegation, and willingness to seek for help, which is the lesson I'm still learning, I should say. I'm not that I have mastered it. However, I wish I had known that. I think I would have probably thought about creating goals and achieving them and being more serious about it, rather than treating it like a job. You just work, you get the money, and you go home and be with your family and be happy. So I think um, asking for help is hard for me even today. So it was even harder back then. So I think I wish I had known this. Somebody had told me this. If I had rewind my clock back, I would start slightly differently.
That's okay because we all learn something as we go along the
Yeah.
road. But I also struggle with asking for help. Sometimes I ask a little bit too much help, and then I get a little conscious that, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be asking them for this much. But it's good to ask for help, and it's good to be open about your thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And my last question before we end off is how do you continue to learn in order to stay on top of things within your role?
I go back to my three E's: education, exposure, and experience. So I actively pursue growth through these three E's. This is something that I always keep it close to my heart. And my innate curiosity that keeps me constantly learning and seeking new challenges. And I constantly read papers and books and watch videos. And I'm just, excuse me, attend trainings and things like that. So I always want to be on top of things. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to switch my career from networking hardcore Cisco to SaaS application at Workspace and AI and ML.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Sushma, for being here today with me. Before we end off, do you have any last words to the audience?
I don't know who the audiences are. I mean, I'm hoping that whoever is the girls, then they do consider tech industry. Tech is fun. It's challenging, but it is fun if you like it, if it is for you. So I would encourage all the girls and even the boys to consider STEM career and STEM fields. There is a lot more to be explored and done, and I wish all of them the very best.
Well, thank you so much, Sushma, for being here today. I absolutely love talking to you.
Oh, thank you so much. Same here. Absolutely. Talking to you. Love talking to you, Arna, and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Take care.
And here are my 3 cents on this episode with Sushma. 1. The value of persistence and hard work. Mastery in any field demands sustained effort, practice, and a commitment to continuous improvement. There are no shortcuts to becoming an expert, and it's the cumulative result of countless hours of focused work. This process teaches the importance of discipline and resilience. 2. The importance of goal setting and self-assessment. Establishing specific objectives provides direction and motivation. Regular introspection helps you stay on track and adjust your strategies as needed. And 3. Embracing the long-term perspective. Recognize that a career is a long-term journey and helps you pace yourself and maintain a healthy balance between work and rest. It encourages patience and strategic planning, preventing burnt out and fostering sustained achievement. Thus, that concludes the episode for this week. If you want to know more about how I relate to these amazing topics, then stay tuned for upcoming episodes. A free way to support this show is by leaving it a 5-star rating and a review on the player you are listening to. Let me know what you enjoy about this podcast, as it's a chance to tell me what you love about the show, and it helps others discover it too. Once again, thank you for finding me, and I hope we stay in touch with each other. Zito, you're listening to Aarna Sahu, the host of Aarna's News. Toodles!